official stats. Turman had 15 carries for 87. Now let me just say this: we had ones, twos, threes. We had a lot of plays, more plays than we had a year ago the first time around. There was a lot of. We scrimmaged a good long time today. So anyway, getting back to that, Turman may have had a couple runs with the ones and twos. I don't know if he had any runs with the threes, but he had 15 carries for 87 yards and a touchdown. Quavon Hicks had 9 carries for 71 yards. His runs were mostly with the threes versus the threes. Brendan Douglas had 14 carries for 30. So you can see that stat. He was mostly against the #1 defense, so that would make sense. There were a couple scrambles by Ramsey. That's about it for the run game. We did, let's see, passing game. Ramsey was 16 of 32. 16 of 32, 232 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Long of 41. Fatone was 17 of 30, 247, 2 TDs and a pick. Jacob Park launched a couple bombs in the 3 unit and had 187 yards and a touchdown. Long of 69.
I'm sorry, did you say it's?
4 of 7. 187 yards and a touchdown.
Was that a 69-yard TD?
It was 69-yard TD to Matt Price. That's who was the recipient of that. He had 2 catches for 129 yards. He caught a couple bombs versus the 3 unit, so we dropped back and launched a couple and caught him.
Matt Price.
That's what happened there. Justice Scott Wesley had 8 catches for 127 yards and a TD. Clay Johnson had 5 catches for 101 yards. Blazevich had 4 catches, 57. Malcolm had 3 for 44. Malcolm Mitchell. One of Blazevich's was a touchdown. Excuse me. Isaiah McKenzie had 3 catches, 43 yards. Names you'll recognize. Davis had 1 for 41. Reggie. Kenny Towns 2 for 35. J. Rome 3 for 35. Brendan Douglas 4 for 26. I don't know if you care about all these down the line, but we got a couple guys with 1 catch. A.J. Turman, 1 catch for 15. Jackson Harris, 1 catch for 13. Marshall Morgan was 2 out of 4 field goals. He kicked one over 50 yards into the pretty stiff wind and came up just about a yard short. It was accurate, it just wasn't enough on it. But it was a pretty significant win. Probably shouldn't have attempted it that far. In a game, I would have either punted or gone for it on 4th down in that situation. Belis made a couple extra points. Jake Gaines made 10 tackles. Also had a pick, a pass breakup, and a sack. We had big Chris Mays for 7 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and a sack. It's hard to gauge sacks in this thing. There probably were more sacks than recorded because you try to let everybody play. And we're not hitting the quarterback, so there might have been balls where he might not have got sacked, but he might have got hit as he was letting the ball loose. So it's just hard to gauge. Timmy Kimbrough had 6 tackles. Malcolm Parrish had 5 tackles. And he had a big time pick. It was a kind of a jump ball between him and Malcolm, I think, and they both came down with it. And the referee's trying to decide, was it tie, goes to the offensive player and all that, and when they finally came up out of there, Malcolm had ripped it away, so it was a really great play. Had another great pass breakup as well. Sterling Bailey had 5 tackles, 1 tackle for loss. Jarvis Wilson had 5 tackles. Amici had 5 tackles. Wilson had a tackle for loss. Amici had a tackle for loss. I think it had, Wilson had 2 pass breakups. Reggie Carter had 4 tackles, a forced fumble, and 2 pass breakups. Apparently y'all like this because I hear a lot of typing. Aaron Davis had 4 tackles and a pass breakup. Josh Dawson had 4 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, and a sack. Tramel Terry had 4 tackles and a pass breakup. Jonathan Arad had 4 tackles. Do you want to hear who had 3 tackles?
Who had that?
Jonathan Abram. You want to hear the 3 tackle guys? Yes, no?
How many we're talking?
1, 2, 3, 4. These guys had 3 tackles. Atkins, Dukes, Mauger, Bowman, Gillespie. Now I'll just say who had tackles for loss, huh? These guys had tackles for loss. Gillespie, Natrez, Patrick, Deloach. McGee had 2, Sean McGee. Johnny O'Neill had 1. These guys had a pass breakup. And let me go back, Mauger had a pick. A 41-yard return. Gaines's pick was a 27-yard return. Gillespie had a pass breakup. Natrez had a sack. Sean McGee had a pass breakup and 1.5 sacks. The other half of that sack must have been Duke's. And the last stat of a pass breakup was Dominique Sanders. So, I mean, it's... Who did the stats today? No one wants to claim them?
We have about 3 or 4 working on it.
Y'all did a great job. Thank you. I'm sure everybody enjoyed that. I know you thought you had the day off, and the last second I said, come on. Because originally I was like, just, y'all take the day off, but we wouldn't have had anything to type. Y'all have any questions?
Did Chubb, did I
Chubb
miss his
played.
name, or?
He didn't have any stats.
Okay.
He played every 3rd down today. We wanted to focus on his pass protection, route running, that kind of thing.
Does Keith Marshall, what does he have, and when?
He's got a hamstring issue.
Is he, so a typical hamstring?
Yeah, I just don't know. Some are worse than others.
How would you rate today, maybe 1 to 10?
Well, I mean, it's hard to rate because you've got 3 units going on both sides of the ball. And a lot of times if the offense does something good, you know, it's not that great for the defense on that particular play. And then when the defense does something great, you know, the offense doesn't, you know, isn't doing very good, you know. So it's kind of hard. I guess it's kind of how you want to look at it. But I'd say this, we're 7 days in. We've had our first scrimmage. We got a lot of great film to watch. A lot of great teaching. I thought the guys tried to compete hard. Pretty clean game, not a lot of penalties. Earlier in the spring, we were, you know, had a bunch of jumping off sides offensively and just, you know, working the cadence and just struggling a little bit with some of those things. We had some bad snaps and some fumbled exchanges and just kind of sloppy. But today, they cleaned it up really pretty good. There was very few There's a few times they jumped, and I don't know if we had a fumble. It said a forced fumble somewhere, but I don't think there was a fumble exchange or anything like that as far as that's concerned. I think, I'm talking about QB center exchange, so offense cleaned up a lot of the things that just get you beat, those self-inflicted wounds. They didn't do as much of that, which was nice. And again, you know, some of these stats are a little skewed because, you know, there might have been 3 times the quarterback would have got hit right as he threw it and thrown a pick, you know. And so, you know, it's tough, a little tough on the defense when we're not allowing them to go full speed at the quarterback and go tackle him or bat the ball down and that kind of thing. So it's probably a little bit off, but in the favor of the offense as far as the format.
Park getting a lot of yards on a few completions. That was all 3 versus 3.
Mostly, the bombs were just drop back and launch it, you know, and was it Price on the other end of that thing? He had 2 of them. I mean, he had a 64-yard average, so we threw 2 bombs and caught him, so. Yeah, that's a lot of yards. But, I mean, you know, it was, still got to throw it and catch it. Still gotta throw it
Is that a
and catch it.
feather in his cap, you know?
Yeah, I mean, he throws the ball, long ball very well.
What about Jake Gaines, the 10 tackles? Where was he getting the majority of his work?
Oh, gosh, I believe it was 2-unit. He's been, him and Chooks have been with a 2-unit mostly, and he might have got some 3-unit plays. I don't remember if he was in there with the 3s or not, because the 3s right now is a mixture of guys that are truly 3s, but then some of the 2s have to double duty a little bit just to get enough guys on the field to practice.
Any of the quarterbacks particularly help themselves today? I know it's one of, you know, 7 practices so far.
There was flashes by all of them, in my opinion, at times where they just dropped back, knew exactly what to do, threw a beautiful strike, you know, threw a couple hot routes, just knowing what to do and how to do it. And then there was some times where there's still a couple of plays where you shake your head a little bit, where, you know, I think they all have to learn that not every play is going to be successful. And sometimes you got to throw it away. Sometimes you got to throw it to a check down. You can't always try to make a play because you're going to get hit, a sack and a fumble, or you're going to, you know, get hit as you're throwing and throw a pick, like one of those where the defender actually did joke the guy when he was throwing it. He's not supposed to touch him, but he did. It wasn't bad, but there was an example of him getting hit as he was throwing. Now that really wasn't the quarterback's fault, in my opinion. He's in the pocket. Somebody comes around from behind and hits him as he's throwing. He can't help that. But there's still times we're holding the ball too long and not either throwing it away or getting it to a check down, which will get you beat. We took, you know, again, the stats. Most sacks, in my opinion, coaching quarterbacks of the year is the quarterback's fault, no matter what. Not every once in a while he can't help it, but most of the times the quarterback can get rid of the ball. And there's just times we held the ball too long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or so sacks, and there's probably would have been more than that.
You think you know, in the grand scheme of things, being an offensive guy and watching the offense a lot of times when we talk to you, it's about the offense, what the offense does wrong, et cetera. You think you're too tough on the offense sometimes in spring? I mean, when we come in, yeah. I mean, because through the years, you know, Aaron Murray had some disastrous spring numbers, and he won, I don't know how many games or whatever it was.
Oh, yeah.
Can you be? I'm trying to figure out where y'all are really at.
Typically, sounds like they're having some fun down there.
They seem okay.
WrestleMania. It's usually WrestleMania about right now. A lot of times in the spring, and even how we format the scrimmage, like we'll go 8-play drive. If you start the drive and get a 3 and out, that's 3 plays, there's still 5 more plays to go. You start another drive, if you get inside the 20 and it's 1st and 10 on the 20-yard line going in, but that happens to be the 8th play, and you get a 5-yard gain, it's over. We stop the drive because we got our 8 plays and we're trying to have it like a pitch count.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you start the drive and there's no stop along the way, we'll let them finish the drive. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes the stats don't add up in those scrimmages because of that. But I know even going way back to when I was coaching at Florida State, and rarely did the offense have a big day in the spring because, defenses usually have if you're constantly playing against your offense, you're very familiar, you can make plays against them. But I remember the year we played for the SEC championship against Bama. What was that, 2-3 years ago? I don't know how many years ago that was.
Yeah.
That spring, we were just offensively just shaking our heads like we had no chance. Now by the spring game, we had a decent day. We had a decent day. It was one of the first times in a scrimmage situation that we actually did halfway decent. But I mean, there were some days we walked off the field and we were sick.
It's hard to, I hate to be this way about it, but it's hard to believe that one of these guys is going to be your quarterback.
Mhm.
And typically Georgia quarterbacks play pretty well, not all the time, but through the years. And just every spring, it seems like the same time, it's these quarterbacks or whoever are just not doing well. And by the fall,
I call it critiquing,
sure,
not criticizing as much as, every day we watch film, we evaluate, we make decisions, and I'll see things that I know will get us beat. So I probably do harp on those too much. But like I started out saying, there's flashes of guys just looking beautiful. Really looking really good. But then there was times of plays that were being made or decisions that were being made that I know will get you beat if you do it enough. So if they can clean up those kind of things and continue to get confidence in what we're doing and throw the ball with confidence, we'll be okay.
Coach, you got a veteran offensive line, most of those guys back, even your second teamers with some experience. Are they kind of coming through for you this spring? Are they playing like it?
It's been hot and cold. Like yesterday's practice, it was miserable offensively, really. Blitz pickup was bad. It was just we really didn't perform very well offensively at all yesterday. And it might have had a little something to do with today, them doing a little bit better, because I'm sure the coaches got on them and they probably wanted to, prove that they were better than they were yesterday, because it was really, yesterday's practice was probably the sloppiest practice for the offense, I thought. But today they came around and did a little better.
Quavon, I assume he's just helping out at running back, but
Yeah.
the whole fullback, H-back, tight end
Right.
thing, what's his role?
Well, Quavon has really been versatile for us. Last spring might have been the first time we threw him out there at tight end. He starts making plays. He actually learned very quick. That's a lot of information in a short amount of time, but it didn't seem to fluster him. And then now we've got 5 tight ends that can practice right now, and a little short on the fullback, tailback area, so we're keeping him in the running back room. And, with the guys being